Hey, welcome back, everybody. Now, listen, folks, I don't know if you've noticed, but things are a little bit different these days. We've changed a little bit in the past. Yes. And no one knows that better than our next guest, who is having to live this and figure this out every single day. This is Courtney, a PM on the VS Code team, and we're gonna.
For having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I'm excited to actually hear about this because I'm curious, like, how you're doing that. Like, we're building the tools, and in order to understand how they're useful, we have to use them, but there's no instructions on how to do that. So tell me a bit about what you're doing. How are you using AI to do PM work?
Yeah, like you said, everything's changing. Everything's different these days, but we're all just, we're using the tools day in and day out, and so constantly experimenting with new ways of working and changing how we're approaching agents and AI in general. And so the PM role, I think how I've seen it change in the last couple years, or I guess a year and a half. It feels a lot longer than that sometimes.
But time is slowed down. Have you seen that move where it's like, it's from Interstellar, where he's like, this little move is gonna cost us 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it feels.
That's how it feels, yeah. But I mean, prior to AI, a lot of the PM work was very much like document driven. So it was classic, like, okay, let me go surface some user feedback from different channels, different formats, and then kind of aggregate all of those learnings, turn them into a document, make sure the document's formatted well, all of the words fit together perfectly, and then I'm going to pass it off to engineering to hopefully get a buy-in. And now these days, that feedback loop and the like iterations of all of this is a lot more condensed. To where PMs are able to like go through this cycle multiple times in a day even, and prototype a lot easier. So in the past year, I've spent a lot more time in the code base than I ever have before, which has been a great learning experience.
Yes, and you pushed some PRs, I know, because I've used some features. They're like, hey, who added this? They're like, Courtney added that. Oh, sweet.
The PM team is surprisingly in the code base and pushing PRs often. They're not always merged, not always even undrafted, but
outright,
they're there.
Unceremoniously rejected?
Yeah,
So what you're saying is you're working much less now. Life is easy.
It's a breeze.
The agent does everything.
I'm chilling,
You're like 4 days a week, tops.
Tops, yeah. The 4-day work week is happening on the VS Code team actively.
Now, I have this note here that says there's kind of a new world that we're in where, you know, we get user feedback on X and Reddit. Boy, do we get user feedback, let me tell you. And then, right, by the end of the day, that's in a PR sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, that's the new flow. Whereas before, it was kind of like, all right, we'll put that on the backlog.
Right, or it was like, we'll wait for someone to create an issue that has all of the information, all of the repro, anything like that. And now it's like, oh, someone posted on Reddit at 11 a.m., let's go explore this, try to dig into it a little bit more. And then if we see it's a real problem or a problem space that we see emerging, we're able to kind of go explore prototypes, iterate on it, and then bring that to engineering with both like the problem, the user feedback, as well as a, not always a working solution, but like a prototype at least.
A prototype,
which is nice because, like I said previously, a lot of this work was in documents. And so I, as a PM, wasn't able to do all of my due diligence, obviously. I wasn't able to, and I'm still not able to make all of the right architectural decisions or know the right code quality. That's definitely still the engineering domain for sure. But the agents can do a lot of that initial like code scanning, iterations of prototypes to a point where I can have gone through enough like UI, different designs or different edge cases or finding different things in there before I'm bringing it to the engineering managers and the engineering team. And then they're able to do kind of that last mile work on the PR potentially, or they're able to take it and be like, okay, I have a much better idea of the user scenarios, the user pain, or just like where your head's at, rather than having to go read a long doc or try to explain it in series of meetings and constant.
Right, like what you imagine in your head is not what the person reading the issue imagines in their head. People can't read
your mind. I don't know if you know that. Yeah.
So do you have like examples or demos here you can show us?
Yeah, so here's one small thing I did. So we were getting a lot of, VS Code is super customizable. It's one of the beauties of VS Code, but it also can be hard to navigate at times. And so this was back in, I think, February. We were getting a lot of feedback where people were like, do you have this setting? Can we do this in VS Code? Like, how do I navigate chat-related settings? Because I don't even know where to begin.
What is this one specifically?
So it was making the settings editor a little bit more navigable. So we were going to reorganize some of the chat-related settings, and then instead of having endless scrolling on the chat panel, we're going to have it paginated. So I can kind of...
yes. Just show me an example there so I know what you're talking
let's
about.
See. Setting. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. I'm in my VS Code now. Let's go here. So for example, this it looks pretty much the same. Like I said, it's more of just like a re-architecture.
Right.
But so previously, if I scroll to the bottom here, I would have just kept going.
Oh, that's right. It was and the left side moves down as you scroll.
And so now it's paginated. So it's much more organized and things like that, as well as moving this chat as a top level setting, so it could be a little bit more discoverable.
Gotcha. And this is one of the biggest pieces of feedback we get, is that this is hard for people to understand.
And so I was like, okay, we've been seeing this on Reddit, we've been seeing this in issues, we see this on X. People are constantly like, how do I even begin here? So I started like maybe iterations with some designers, some quick Slack messages back and forth, and then I put it in a PR, and I sent it over to the engineering team, and I was like, what do you think about this? Like, do you have any other ideas in addition to just some of these like low-hanging changes that we can make in the UI to just test the experience? So I put it into a PR, and then had Copilot do a code review for me, which was great. I got some feedback and was able to keep iterating, and then the engineering team just went ahead and jumped into this PR, did some last mile work, last mile changes, and then we were ultimately able to merge this into the code base.
What's the timeline there from like open to?
A day.
1 to 24 hours.
All in a day, which was really nice. And then the engineering team was able to then go figure out how to continue to like iterate on the settings experience to make it more discoverable.
Is that harder for people is a guy like Josh, I think, works like way down on the like quality? Because like the people that are down on the end of this, in other words, like if you're submitting PRs, and I started doing that too, like aren't the people way down the line then getting pummeled?
Yeah, inundated with PRs. Yeah. That's definitely a problem, and I think that's what we're seeing on our team as well, is like it's not the code is not as much the blocker anymore, but more like being able to review the PRs, but also understand like the quality gates. And I think that's something as a PM too, is all of my explorations that I'm doing in the code base, not all of them I'm gonna go send to engineering to be like, review this PR, I need to go make it into the code base. Some of my explorations never make it into a PR, and I'm able to just like kind of type up my learnings a little bit more in an issue, point to specific code, maybe attach a prototype that wouldn't go work in production at all, but then engineering is able to kind of go take it when they have a moment to add it onto their iteration plan. So I think you have to kind of measure what you're sending to engineering as a PM, but you're able to, like I said, iterate on some of these solutions a lot faster, and figure out like, oh, in my head, that felt a lot better, but when I actually put it into the product,
it doesn't make sense.
It was bad.
Interesting.
And so you kind of have to check yourself on those as well. But one of my coworkers has a really cool Harold. I don't know if he's joining you on this stage later today.
Never heard of him.
We don't know Harold.
Yeah.
But this is a prototype that he did, and this is not like a PR. This isn't in the code base at all, but it's just kind of a working prototype that he sent to engineering to expand the customizations UI that we're doing to also include tool permissions, because we found that tool permissions are scattered through a lot of different settings, and there's not a good central way to understand which permissions you've set for X, Y, or Z.
It's impossible.
Yeah, and so he mocked up this UI to send to the engineering team for feedback, because he was like, we already have this UI, people are giving us good feedback on it. Like, what if we extended this concept to permissions as well? And so this was a working prototype that he was able to send to engineering, get some feedback on, but it never made it to a PR. It was just kind of a proof of concept.
So, because this looks like the UI that's in the agents.
Yeah.
But it's not. Is it the same one? And he just added the tool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in my VS Code, this is what that UI looks like today. It just covers customizations.
Okay.
But he was basically saying like, what could it look like if it also covered permissions? Like, is that something that would fit well into this model?
Yeah, it's crazy now that we can just sort of build essentially the feature, and it's like, okay, here's the feature. Not really, but for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
And then once you see it in action, you do have this, because I've done this where you should try this where open a PR or an issue and mock up the thing that you're trying to open it. And by the time you do it, you'll be like, I actually don't want to open this issue.
Yeah, no, 100%.
You realize this is like actually not a good idea.
Yeah, no, and I think that's helpful too, and it makes us as PMs kind of evaluate the user experience like from a zoomed out perspective a lot more as well. Because before we would just zoom in on one particular issue and kind of try to move that along in the iteration plan, and now we're able to kind of see and feel a lot of this stuff in early stages and be able to evaluate the user experience and the user delight much faster than if we were without AI in our
yeah,
toolkit.
It's phenomenal. I'm curious from the audience here, how many folks are using AI to open issues? Not PRs, just issues, like when you have issues?
Couple.
Just a couple of folks, interesting. So that's another thing, go back and try this, because we do this as well. It's when you find an issue and you're in VS Code and you have the agent open, don't open an issue, just go to the agent and tell the agent to open an issue.
Yeah.
And if it's writing verbose issues, give it instructions to stop writing verbose issues, right? Explain as quickly as possible, provide reproduction steps, and this is how we open issues anymore, is just have the AI do it. So yeah, that's a great way.
I mean, I think everyone's kind of roles are evolving with AI. They're getting a lot different, but I think my role as a PM I've learned a lot more about the product and the code base itself as well. And it's enabled me to spend a lot more time on like synthesizing all of the different user feedback that you get. We talked about Reddit, we talked about X, we also have so many issues, And so we're able to kind of gather those different sources and then prototype in the code base and then help our engineering partners a lot better. In this new way of working.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I know we're out of time here, but from the diametrically opposed views of like AI is going to replace people to, oh no, actually, you're doing way more and you're way more in the details than you were before, right? And like PMs are doing way more than they were before in terms of the scope of work and what AI enables you. I'm finding the same thing, by the way. Same exact thing.
Yeah, but it's cool because at the same time we're able to work with a lot more like different teams as well. So I get to work with you a lot more, the engineering team a lot more in different ways. So definitely encourage people to kind of experiment with different ways of working with AI and with their team as well.
Awesome. All right, Courtney, thank you so much. Please give Courtney a round of applause, and we will be right back.